Hey everyone, welcome to my stream, welcome to my channel, and welcome to another video working on our Aggressor here. That's the F-16 Aggressor by Tamiya. And so let's get the intro loaded and we'll get started. Well, we're getting there, guys. My coffee's cleaned up from the last time, and I'm going to keep it over here just in case I decide to spill it again. So I have to apologize for the last video there where I just ended abruptly because I dumped coffee all over myself. So sorry about that. We're continuing on. You may notice, some of you guys may notice, that my camera looks a little bit different, and that's because I've changed my setup a little bit and I'm trying to give a little bit better of a better quality video for you guys, something that's just going to be better all around. So anyway, that's my attempt for you guys. We're going to continue. We have our F-16 here. Now, one thing I did want to mention, something I did do off camera, is I did the panel lining on here, as you can probably see on my overhead camera there. Got the panel lining done. Now normally with the panel lining, I like to either use the Tamiya panel liner, this stuff here, either this stuff, right? I either use that stuff, or I like to use the AK Interactive panel liner. This one happens to be gray, for gray and blue, and this would have been a perfect one, a really good one to use. But I wanted to try something different. I wanted to try a different panel liner, so I went and picked up ammo panel liner. I used the blue black. They didn't actually have the black in the store, just pure black, but they had the blue black, and that's pretty close enough, and from a distance you're not going to notice, unless you're doing it over white or something like that, which, yeah, in a few parts here it is, but I can't even see any of the blue. It just looks like a really super dark gray, really. Anyway, so I tried this stuff out. This stuff is a little different. If I were to compare it to the AK stuff, you can slather it on all over your model and just let it dry for 10 minutes or so, and you can just take a paper towel and just wipe it. And you don't even need any white spirit thinner or anything like that for it. And it just wipes off nicely, and it stays in all your lines and everything like that, and it looks good. This stuff's a little different. I tried that same technique with this, thinking it's probably going to be the same, but I was wrong. And this one, it dries and it likes to stay a little bit more. I wouldn't say it stays as well as the Tamiya. Tamiya stuff really likes to stick, right? You definitely need your white spirit thinner to get rid of the Tamiya stuff. But this stuff is kind of in between. It didn't take a lot of thinner to get it cleared off, but not nearly as much as the Tamiya, and it didn't seem to have the tendency to pull right out of the panel lines like Tamiya does sometimes. So I would say, I recommend this. I would say it's good stuff. If you don't have AK Interactive, but you do have access to the ammo, yeah, I think it's a good substitute. Anyway, let's continue on. We've got to get this bird assembled. Believe we were working on the front landing gear when the catastrophe of my coffee happened. So we have our main landing gear, that's pretty much all done. Let me get my instructions and see just exactly what was next. And I'll change the camera here and we'll go overhead so you can have a look here. Okay, so I see I'm a little off center here with my camera. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Alright, so we're working on our landing gear, getting this done, and putting the landing gear in the actual thing. So I've got our little pods on here, our little lights, those are on there now, with the green on this side here, and red on that side. It's kind of hard to see, but they're there. They're very dark against the black paint, but they're there. Okay, so I did take the liberty of painting our tire. Remember last time our tire wasn't painted? I've got that on there now. That's painted and it's installed. Okay, so let's get some glue. this guy is going to go in right here. We've got a little notch right there on the one side of it, and it's going to go in there and line up right like that. This is not really a super positive thing. They show in the picture that it is supposed to sit a little bit forward like this, just a little bit. So I'll get that kind of mocked up on there, because we need to get our little shock, this guy the J8 and this guy here the J3. That's these two, J8 and J3. They're going to help get this thing put in its slot. So because of the angle on the picture, it's a little bit difficult to see exactly where J3 lines up. So let's just take a look in our little box here. It does, there's no definitive little block, unless it's just supposed to go right here, or is it supposed to go in the middle? I think maybe it's supposed to go in the middle, right there maybe, like that. It's a little hard to tell. There's no, let's see, it's got a little bit of a divot on there, but it's not great. Yeah. Let's see here. Our J8 goes into the side, back there, into that notch, where my finger is, that notch there. But then this, they just show it going down and disappearing down in there. They do kind of show it here, kind of off to the side, sitting over top of that little bar, which tells me it's just going to mount just over this bar here. So it's going to be kind of like this. It does just kind of sit in that spot like this. Okay, so let's get our main piece glued in. Obviously there's going to be a bit of adjustment as we do this. So that's just going to sit like this. Let's get this guy in first. He's got a little tab in there, and then he's supposed to go right up at the top of that. Just going to kind of hold him here. So that's the way it's supposed to go. As you can see, it's not quite straight up and down. So now I'll take my thin and apply it here and get him attached to the wheel. And since this has been moved so much, I'm going to have to put more glue here. Alright, and just for added measure, there. Okay, that's those two. Now, this guy. I'm trying to figure out where he's going to mount. It looks like he's just going to sit down There, so I'll put glue on here and here. There and on there. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So that's in, which makes this fit. Oh, they actually show up here exactly where it's supposed to go. So I don't have it quite positioned properly, so it's got to go like this. Pick up my CA glue. Now that I moved it, put more glue. There we go. Okay, so that's done. So, moving down, we've got this piece here and our landing gear bay door. Okay, so we'll put this piece on. That's this guy here. We have him painted already. He's all assembled and ready to go. And he's going to sit like this. Just like that. That's simple enough. We have the privilege of being able to glue it from the underneath, so that we don't have to worry about any glue getting anywhere that we don't want. I just want to make sure I've got enough on there. Then it's going to hold. Alright, so that's it. Okay, and we have our landing gear bay door, and we also need the little shock for it. That's J1, tiny little shock. So let's find my J tree. My J tree, there it is. Okay. J1, this tiny little guy right there. Okay. Clean up that nub just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let's see how that's supposed to go in. This guy needs to go down. They show an overhead view of this, but it's really hard to determine what that's supposed to be like. Where does that shock actually go in on here? I do not know. I do know that it's supposed to go in this little spot here. It is a bit of a mystery. See, it's supposed to go just like that. Let's just do a dry fit here. Let's try this again. Let's line up our notches. compare it to our picture, it's really, they show this overhead guard thing, but they don't show exactly where the shock is supposed to go. They don't even show the door in the picture. I think what I'm just going to do is just leave that on there. Put some glue in there. Put some glue on our tabs. Put a dab of glue on the bottom of the shock. Okay, so I've got it in, and the shock is in there. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. I don't have my camera centered. I gotta fix this. I'm gonna fix this right now for you guys. Okay, that's better. All right, so our door is in. Our door is in. I just need to get all the glue in the spots. There we go. Okay, our door's on. Just like that. All right. So that's all done. And this is done. So next is to put the actual piece on the plane. Okay? So this is basically just going to drop in right like this. And funny enough, this is not lining up. You know, in all my test fitting, that fit perfectly, and it's just, actually now it fits. See, that's how you have to make sure it's actually lined up. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue along this edge in here, and then I cut on along here, and that should be more than enough. To ensure our nose stays on. There we go, we're in. Gonna hold this side down, this edge, just for a minute. using the extra thin just to make sure. Get everywhere that we need. Press down a little bit, and we'll just hold it. That's holding. There we go. It's upside down right now because it's freshly glued and I don't want to tip it up just yet. So that's that. Okay. And that concludes this page. This is finished. Flip. Well, this is already done. We did these a long time ago. All long before painting this plane, we did this stuff. Okay. So next is our main landing gear bay doors. That's this guy and this guy. This piece was put on a long time ago. Again, before painting. And so we're going to put on our doors. And of course we had two different sets of doors depending on which version of the plane you're building. If you're doing the A, B, or C, then you use this door, which is what I've got here because I'm doing the A version. And then if you're doing the D, then you're going to use this one, or this one, right? Anyway, so let's put those on. These would go, so if you're confused which side is which, just imagine them closed and it should be fairly easy. So, oh, this guy lifted up. Oh no, he didn't. So this, we're going to flip like that and we're going to line them up. So let's see how it all goes here. We got this slot that's obviously going to line up there, and we'll just tuck them in. Like that. Okay, so we got a couple of little holes here to line up with the notch here on this piece. So we've got 3 points to line up on this guy. That should, in theory, get him sitting in his home where he belongs. And it's going to be easier to do this with my hand. There's really only one hole there. Just like that. Now I'm actually going to switch to my regular thin instead of the quick set. Simply because it holds just that little bit stronger. I want to try and squeeze this together there. There we go. One door on. Just like that. Alrighty. Let's work on the other side. Okay. There we go. Tamiya actually did a really good job at making this really line up, even in 3 spots. Typical Tamiya engineering. So there's our doors in, just like that. So I feel confident enough to put this bird on her feet now. I see I did a bit of an error in my paint right here. This is not supposed to be gray there, that should be black. But I can touch that up if I should so choose. Okay, so with the doors on, next are flaperons, which are here and here, these two guys. Now I already know that these fit, and they fit fine. So let's flip her over. Okay, this one's going to go on this side right here, just like so. So I'll put some glue on those tabs. Set them in there. And he has a new home. We'll do the same with this guy. Him in his new home, just like that, and our flaperons are in. Okay, that's it for this page. Flip. Okay, so we've already assembled the tail fin. This is all finished, so we just need to put the tail fin on, and we get our elevators put in. Elevators are just simply a press fit. There's nothing special about them. And same with our tail fin, right? The tail fin is just going to sit on top of these pins. Once you get them lined up, it just sits on like that. And the elevators, this goes on this side. They just press into our little things, kind of like that. I'm going to take these off of here after this, but just to show you guys, that's all these do. A lot of Tamiya model kits are like this, where you just press them into. Now this is one thing that I don't like. This plane wants to sit on its butt. Okay, so I might want to actually glue in maybe a little nut or something on the inside of the nose cone to give it a little bit of weight on the front. Because I'm going to do a little test here. Let's put in our seat temporarily, if I can. There we go. And put our canopy on. And put our nose in. Does he sit back down? No, he doesn't. He will sit like this. Okay, so that's not bad. If I put glue in one little nut, it should be okay. Fortunately, the nose puts enough on the nose cone sits enough on the front there. Yeah, there's just enough weight on the nose cone to make this plane sit properly. But I'm not happy with just enough. So I'm going to take one of these nuts. I put these nuts in. I like to put them in with my paints such as these, like these kind of paints, because your tip, if you put a ball bearing in this, then the ball bearing gets stuck in that tip, and then you don't get paint coming out. But these guys don't get stuck, so that's what I use. These are stainless steel. So to put this in here, this kind of glue is not going to work. So I'll get a little bit of CA glue. see if I can get away with just a little dab. And then move that around in there. Let that sit. The whole idea just to get that little bit of extra weight. Now I want this nut to sit upright. Thank you. There we go. Okay, let's speed this process up a little bit here. There we go. We got a nut in there. Now that's going to be just a little bit more than just enough. It's going to add an extra, I don't know, an ounce, maybe a gram. No idea. I don't know how much my little nuts weigh. I don't know how much my nuts weigh. I've never measured the weight of my nuts. Anyway, that's good enough. That's going to stay. I could have used epoxy, but yeah, I didn't feel like mixing some up. So yeah. Anyway, that's that. So let's take these off for now. Let's pull those out. Okay. Now I do want to run some extra thin along there just to ensure that these stay where they belong. And I do it on the underside just in case. I do have this coated with a semi-gloss clear, so I'm not really worried about me accidentally wiping the paint away with the glue. Okay, so moving on from here, we go down to our cockpit, and this is already assembled. I have it sitting on a stick over there. We have our ejector seat, pilot if you're going to do so. So we can put this piece in, okay. That's this guy right here, okay, our instrument panel. He's been waiting for a long time. And he should just sit just like that. Just drops in nice and friendly. Alrighty. Just like that. Nothing too special, so I'll put some glue on this surface here. In here, and in here. Doesn't seem to really be making much contact. There we go. That's better. Once you get it slotted in right, it goes. All right. So that's in. Next we have our ejector seat. Okay, as you guys saw when I was just first putting it in there, it is kind of a tight fit. In fact, I want to put the seat in first. I'm going to pull this out. Just fitting it in between the joystick is a bit of a challenge. I believe that's the angle it's supposed to go at. And just double check here. Let's pull that up. So if your canopy don't close, you know you got your seat too high. That looks good like that though. It's going to fit. So that's the angle it's supposed to be at. So, again, I'm going to use this glue. Just to make sure it's in there. Okay. And then we'll put this back in. That placed in, that finishes that. Okay, so got a couple of little bits and bytes to put in here. We got A1 to go in a little hole there. I flip this over, there's a tiny little hole right there. Tiny little hole. Get this on an angle you guys can see. Right there. Right there's a little tiny hole. Okay. And A1 is supposed to go there. But I'm going to do that later. We have A14 supposed to go in that little notch. Let's find our A tree here. I think I haven't had any need for my A tree in a while. This guy here. The A1 is this tiny little guy here. I'm going to try and put him on. I don't normally bother with the really tiny bits like this. It's very rare that I do. But today I feel like trying it. And then it was A14, this guy here. Another thing that's rare is to only see one of these on an airplane. Usually there's two, one on each side. Now I already know, because I looked at the instructions yesterday, I know I'm going to need this part here for my canopy. So I'm going to take this off now, just so I don't have to dig it out later. Okay. All right, so this tiny little guy he's supposed to go in that little hole. It's almost too big for it. I'm going to take our tail fin off while I'm flipping this thing around and all this. And he just flew away on me, so he's done. I'm not putting that in. Yeah, he's gone. I didn't even see where it flew to. So we're switching gears and going into this piece. Alright. Now this guy is going to go into this little notch. There's a notch here on the bottom, right there. It's going to go right there. So the question is, which angle does he sit at? Looks like it sits like that. So come on. You gotta give me grief. Hey, I'm good. How are you? Sorry, I just looked up at the chat and saw that. I'm not used to people chatting with me at this time of day. There we go. So that's in. That's going to be painted later, and that's going to be a titanium color. Gunmetal works for that though. Alright, so that's in. And that's going to be it for this page. Okay, with that done, we are finished here. So, let's flip our page over. And I was right, so we're working on the canopy now. We got to put this piece in, B5, that's this piece I took off earlier. Okay, B5, and that's got to go in on this. But we've got options here. If you're going to have the canopy displayed open, then you're going to leave this piece in place. But if you're going to have it displayed closed, you're going to remove it. Either way, you got to remove this back part here. Okay? Either way, you're going to take this off. Okay? Like that. So, if you're going to have it open, you leave these on. If you're going to have it closed, like I do, you got to remove this part off of here. Okay, so that's this here. Like so. These are garbage. Now I do want to clean up the nubs from when it was on the sprue, so let's clean these up. Now if you don't want to bother with these, if you're going to have the canopy closed or even glued closed, you don't even need to bother with this. That's totally up to you though. I like to have the canopies closed but removable. I never glue my canopies down, because I like to pull the canopy off to be able to look at the in the cockpit. So this guy is going to go in here. Kind of like this. Actually, not kind of like that, but exactly like that. Okay. sit there for a sec while that glue sits up. And of course I do have to paint that flat black like it's supposed to be. There we go. Okay, so just set that aside for now. Let that glue dry. We've got the rear glass. That's going to go on, and I got to grab B3 and B4. Oh, that's if it's opened. Okay, closed, so I need B3. B3 to go in there. Let's find our B tree. That is J, B. B is along with the A tree, so I want number 3. Okay, so it's going to be going into the plane at this angle, like that. Flip her over. 2 tiny little notches right here and here. Okay, get that in there, and that light right there and there. Okay, and he's going to sit. You know, it would have been a lot easier to do this before the seat's in there. It goes right there. Tight fit, probably because of the paint, and of course Tamiya engineering. Kind of sits like that. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be flush against there. I'm going to do a test fit of my Canopy. It does not interfere, so that's good. Although my Canopy is not glued down proper, so let's get this in. There and there. That guy's glued in. And I need to redo this. This is still not glued properly. So I'm going to use this glue. Get in there. Okay. All right. So that's in. We have to put this little guy here on the nose cone, and you got to put these guys here too. Now this is P3 and P1, so let's grab our P tree. Grab our P tree. Almost sounds like Petri dish. P. Do I have a PP? Do I have a P tree? Q, X, K, J. I don't seem to have a P. I don't think I have a P. No, I don't. See, they show that these are, we got the DP, so that's the detail up parts, right? So I'm not sure, maybe I don't have those. I should have those. I'm going to do a quick check. Usually at the back of the manual, they usually show you all the sprues. This kit, Tamiya has chosen not to show me all the sprues that come in the kit. So, but I should have P. It should be. Clear parts are L and U, and N, J, W, A, and B. These are C trees. This is F. Q. X. K. P is part of the J tree. Here's P. There's the P tree. So, this is our little guy there, and we got these. One, two. Okay. Now these guys go in the nose, one on each side, and then the main guy goes in the front. So, of course he doesn't want to go. I'm going to have to clear that out with a little bit smaller of a bit. That's too big. So I'm going to grab my little hand bits. This guy here. Let's see if I got one in here that kind of matches this. That one's pretty close. There we go. Perfect. All right. Trick with this is getting it so it looks straight and lined up. That looks pretty good. There we go. Maybe a little bit too much. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay. Next is these guys. Let's see how they fit. You know what? Just do that. That's good enough for me. This one. There we go. So I have those in now. Set that down. Put my drill bit away. Those little drill bits I got on Amazon, and I don't use them very often. I haven't really got a need for them very much. Okay, so the nose is on. Now we're going to put the nose cone on the plane. This will be a big step. We haven't done this yet in getting this finished and adding a little bit of weight to the front. It's going to sit just like that. Okay. So, let's add some glue here. A little bit on the edge. All right. Nose is on. Press it in a little bit. There we go. And sits And with that nut in there, he sits confidently, wants to sit on his front ear instead of on his butt. So that's better. Okay, we got to put our rear glass on. And he's sitting over here quietly somewhere, right here. He's got a little pin in him to line up in that hole there. Just like that. Okay, just like that. Now what I should do is paint this flat black in here first, just to get that done. I am running out of time. I've only got a few minutes left, so because that's going to be a pain to try and paint in there with the glass on there, let's take the glass off and get some flat black. Grab a brush. This painted. Gotta get all angles, otherwise it's gonna look funny. There we go. That's flat black. And while we're at it, I want to get flat black in here. A couple of spots that I missed. So, yeah. All right. Oops. Now that I've got these little guys on here, you got to be careful with them. All right, so that is done. Now I want to do the canopy. This piece in here is supposed to be black also, so let's just quickly get this taken care of. Probably would have been a wiser thing to kind of paint this thing before putting it in, because now I got to be a little bit careful, right? Had I spray painted this, just hit it with some black surfacer or something like that, I wouldn't have to do this. Now it's not the end of the world, obviously. You see, this is not very difficult to do, but it's still something I wouldn't have to do later. It would be already done, and I wouldn't be doing it now. Alright, pretty much done. One more coat on that side, get that done. Make sure everywhere is black, like it's supposed to be. There we go. Okay. That's finished. Now I can put the glass on the back. First I gotta wash my brush, or clean my brush anyway. So I'll put the glass on, and then we're gonna call it a day. So I gotta get going, and that'll be it. Okay. So just clean this good. All right. So now with that done, I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the little tab on our glass, just on that little part there. Now, some guys, they don't like to use the regular hobby glue for the glass. I don't mind it. I don't really have an issue. It doesn't, I haven't really had any problems with it, like fogging up my glass or anything like that. So doing that doesn't really bother me. It seems to be fine for me anyway. Okay, this can go away. All right, so with that being done, this is where I'm going to finish it off for the day. Okay, got to be careful with my little pins here. I keep on bumping them. Okay, so before I do anything else, this is where I'm going to end it for today, guys. This is where we're going to leave it. We are in the home stretch, I would say, because the next thing to do is all the armaments, or ordnance. But what I want to do next time is show you guys how I cleaned up the canopy. That's going to be priority number one for next time, okay? And because I did choose the tinted version of the canopy, I want to show you guys how I cleaned up the parting line that's on the top here. So I'm going to show you guys with the clear one, and so you can see that next time. I want to let you guys know I'm considering not streaming on Twitch anymore. Although I did have one person say hi to me this time, I find that a good 99.9% of the time I've got nobody talking to me on Twitch. So I'm finding that Twitch has become kind of a waste of my time and effort a little bit, because as much as I invite you guys to follow me on Twitch and come and watch me live and talk to me, you can ask me questions and all that, nobody does. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just stick to YouTube. And of course Instagram, I always upload all my still pictures of everything to my Instagram. Down in the description box below there will be a link, so check me out there. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like this, and we'll let this all dry up and solidify, and we'll continue on next time. We're almost finished, and anyway, until next time, we'll see you all in the next one.